People say betrayal doesn't come with a big noise. It sneaks in quietly through papers, through quiet moments, through a signature when nobody is watching. Now picture finding out that everything you thought about your spot in a family, your loyalty, your efforts, your years of being there, got wiped out in less time than planning a weekend getaway. 72 hours. That's how long Nick says it took for his world to break apart. Before, he was the son who lived just steps away. After, he says he was nothing. And here's the question nobody wants to say out loud. What happens to someone when their own family cuts them out? Because this story doesn't start with fighting. It starts with a paper, a will, and a choice made in secret. Hang on with me. Because what Nick says he found out 3 days before his parents died is the part that flips everything. Nick Reiner didn't live far away. He didn't live in another country. He didn't even live in a different part of town. He lived in the guest house, close enough to hear cars coming in at night, close enough to know when the lights turned off, close enough to feel part of things, until all of a sudden, he didn't. From the outside, it seemed like loyalty. From the inside, Nick says it felt like true devotion. Years of being nearby, years of being ready to help, years of being the son who didn't move away. And then, Nick says, came the moment that made all that worthless. 3 days before his parents were found dead in their Brentwood home. Nick says he found out the will had been changed, not just a little tweak, not a small fix, changed completely, his name removed. Everything going to his sisters instead. No heads up, no talk, no reason given. Think about this. If that happened to you, how would you feel? Mad, mixed up, scared, or something even worse? Nick has called it being erased, not just left out of money, not just let down, erased, and are like he never existed at all. And that word is important because people can handle losing money. What they can't handle as well is losing who they are. Nick says this wasn't really about the money. It was about feeling like he belonged. Because money in a family isn't just about being rich. It shows worth, approval, family history, being recognized. When parents change a will, they're not just moving money around. They're changing the family story. And Nick says his story got wiped out without a word. Now, let's take it slow, because the timing means a lot here. The will, Nick says, got updated just 72 hours before his parents died. 72 hours. Think how short that is. 3 sunsets, 3 nights sleeping, 3 mornings, waking up in the same house, same driveway, same walls. And in that time, Nick says he was living right there on the property, close enough to sense something changing, but not close enough to stop it. That's when the stress starts building. Because when someone learns they've been cut from a will, there's usually some backstory, a big fight, a scandal, a long argument. But Nick says that's not how it was here. He says he was loyal. He says he was there. He says he was the one who stayed. So why would parents make a sudden choice like that at the end? That's the big question in this whole story. Was it something planned for a long time and just done finally? Or was it quick, an emotional choice from something that happened just days before? And if something triggered it, what was that trigger? Nick says he learned about it by accident, not in a family talk, not from a lawyer's phone call, but from info that wasn't supposed to get to him. Picture that second. You're not ready for it. You're not waiting for bad news. And then you're looking at proof that the people who raised you chose something about your life without asking you. No goodbye. No reason, just gone. Nick says that's when his world shifted, because in his head, Loyalty had rules. If you stay, you're important. If you help, you are remembered. If you give up things, you're safe. But the will said something different. A story where being close didn't matter. Where years of being there got beaten by one quiet signature. And this is where things don't add up. Families don't usually cut out kids for nothing. But families also don't always say why, which leaves room. Room for anger, room for guessing, room for stories to build when the truth isn't there. Nick says he felt totally caught off guard, but prosecutors later hinted it was more complicated than he says. Two sides of the story, one family, and in the middle, a will that turned into a quiet weapon. Now, think about what it feels like to be cut out. It's not just being rejected, it's embarrassing. Because wills are about the end. They're made thinking about death. To be taken out is like being told quietly, "You don't fit in what we leave behind." Nick says that hit didn't just hurt, it shook him up bad. He talks about walking around the property, going over old talks in his head, rethinking every moment. Was it all fake? Was it just acting? Had they already decided he was throwaway? And here's the part that makes it even harder. Nick says he didn't ask them about it right away. Let that hit you. If you found out something like that, wouldn't you want answers fast? Wouldn't you go in and ask? Nick says he waited. Why? Because asking can be risky. If you push for the truth, you might hear something you can't forget. And Nick says when he finally did ask, if it went like he describes, it proved his worst thoughts. He says he got brushed off, that the choice was done, that the will wasn't open to talk. No changing it, no comfort. Just, it's over. Now stop and think. Does that sound real? Would Pete Aren't really cut out a kid without any reason? Or is there more hidden that hasn't come out yet? This is where the story splits, because after the deaths, everything Nick said got seen through one thing. He got arrested. Once that happened, his words weren't just stories anymore, they were ways to defend himself. And still, the timeline stays. The will change is real. The 72 hours stay the same. And that brings up a scary question. Was this a slow emotional breakdown or a quick mental break from feeling betrayed? Nick says it was the quick one. He says the will wasn't just papers, it was proof he didn't matter anymore, that he got replaced, that living there wasn't closeness, it was just handy. And once someone thinks that, their rules inside change. Good and bad get blurry. Family feels far away. Results seem not important. This doesn't make anything okay, but it shows something scary. How someone can talk themselves into thinking they've already lost it all. Because in Nick's side, the crime didn't start the night his parents died. It started 3 days before, with pen on paper, with quiet instead of talking, with a choice made without him. And that leads to the next big question, the one that makes this story hard to look away from. If the will lit the spark, what came after? Because Nick says what happened next wasn't quick violence. It was quieter, heavier, something that moved him from shock to feeling desperate. And the next key moment in this story, the one Nick says broke what little control he had left, happened face to face, in a talk nobody else heard. But what came after would change it all, and nobody expected it. What really happens when the family story everyone believes isn't the one the family lives. Because before the will, before the talk, before the night, everything ended. There was a picture, a nice polished image of what the Reiners were supposed to be. And it's that picture, more than money, more than papers, that Nick says started cracking long before anyone saw. Let's go back. From the outside, the Reiner family seemed like the success story people want, but don't question. Successful parents, grown kids with their own lives, a big Brentwood home that showed steadiness, family history, lasting. Nothing looked broken. Nothing suggested trouble. And yet, Nick says under that, the family rules were slowly changing. Rules about who was important, rules about who stayed, rules about who got remembered. Nick didn't grow up thinking he could be thrown away. He grew up thinking being close meant trust. If you're nearby, you're safe. If you're there, you're valued. That idea shaped how he lived as an adult. While others moved away, made space, got independent, Nick stayed close. Really close. He lived on the same property. Not in the main house, but close enough to feel tied. Close enough to feel part of it. Or at least, that's how it seemed at first. The guest house sounds okay, even nice. But in your head, it's a weird spot. You're not fully in. You're not out. You're always around, but never in the center. Nick says at first it felt like trust, like his parents wanted him near, like he was important enough to keep close. But over time, he says that closeness started feeling like it depended on conditions, as if they just put up with him being there instead of really wanting it. Have you ever been in a place where you're not sure if you're wanted or just allowed? That's how Nick describes it. Small changes, shorter talks, choices made without him. Nothing big, nothing loud, just little things that build up when you think about them later. And here's where things start not matching. Because from outside, Nick was the son who stayed. He wasn't cut off. He didn't skip holidays. He was part of family stuff. So why would parents, near the end, choose something that showed distance instead of thanks? That's the question Nick keeps coming back to. He says loyalty wasn't talked about, but it was expected. Unspoken deals are the riskiest because when one person thinks they're keeping it and the other never made it, betrayal feels sure to happen. Nick says he thought staying close was important, that being ready to help was important, that being the son who didn't go would mean something. But families don't always reward staying close. Sometimes they hold it against you. Sometimes closeness feels like too much pressure. Sometimes the one who stays shows others choices they'd rather not see. Nick says over time he started feeling he wasn't seen as helpful anymore. He was seen as a problem. And that change flips everything, because once someone thinks they're a burden, they watch closer, listen more, take quiet moments harder. Nick says he saw choices happening without him, plans made in private, talks that stopped when he came in. Again, nothing you can prove, just patterns. And patterns are risky when you're already wondering about your place. Now, let's talk about family levels. Every family has them, some clear, some hidden. Nick says he slowly saw that his sisters were on a different level. Not better, not worse, just different. They had space. They had their own lives. They had power. Nick had closeness and needing them. And that difference is big, because when parents think about what they leave, they don't just think love, they think control, about going on, about who will keep the story the way they want. Nick says he started feeling like the wrong fit in that plan. Too close, too known, too there, which brings up a hard question. Is loyalty always good or only when it's easy? Nick says he didn't feel hated. That's key. He felt ignored. And being ignored hurts quieter, deeper, because hate gives you something clear. Not caring leaves you wondering. Nick says that. The wondering took over him. Every talk became proof. Every quiet became suspicious. Every choice without him felt on purpose. And when you live like that, on the edge of being included, your view of things starts twisting. You don't trust your gut. You make up stories to fill blanks. Nick says the will wasn't the start. It was the proof. The moment all he felt, but couldn't show, suddenly fit. But before that proof, there was building up. And this is where the family people thought they knew starts breaking. Nick says his parents weren't mean. They weren't loud. They were in control. And controlled places are hardest to understand. Nothing said straight. Nothing admitted openly. Choices just happen, and you're supposed to go along. Nick says he tried to get comfort, not by fighting, but by going along, staying close, staying ready, staying helpful. But being helpful runs out, especially in families where power is more important than being there. Now, think about the emotional trap. If Nick left, he worried it would prove he didn't matter. If he stayed, he worried it showed he mattered too much. That's not a spot anyone gets through without hurt. And then came the moment that broke the fake peace completely. The finding, the paper, the proof that what he thought loyalty meant. It didn't mean the same to them. Nick says when he saw he was taken out of the will, it felt like it went back in time. Like years of his life got seen again as wrong choices, not giving up things, wrong choices. And that does something big to your mind. It turns old memories into blame. Every old nice thing feels like a deal. Every shared time feels empty. Nick says he didn't just lose his future then, he lost his past. And when someone feels their whole story got changed without asking, they don't think clear. They feel strong. But here's the turn that makes it all harder. Nick didn't lash out right away. He didn't blow up. He didn't do anything. He kept it inside. Which makes you ask, why hold that pain? Why not ask right away? Nick says he needed to get it, to make sure, to hear it from them straight, because papers can be wrong, but people show more than they mean to. Nick says he waited for the right time, and that time, according to him, came face to face, not with lawyers, not with others, but in a talk that set everything after it. A talk that, if Nick is right, took away any last feeling of belonging. Because what he says got said in that talk wasn't just, "It's done." It was brush off. And brush off hurts more than reject. Reject says you're not wanted. Brush off says you weren't worth thinking about. And once that hits, holding back gets weak, because then, what's left to lose? Nick says that's when the family he thought he had stopped being real, and the family he thought he helped quietly disappeared. But before the night, everyone talks about before the calls, before the arrest, before the news, there was that talk. And Nick says it changed the path of everything because what got said behind closed doors didn't just hurt him. It changed his spot, not as a son, but as an outsider. And that's where the real risk starts. Because once someone thinks they're not family anymore, they stop playing by family rules. But what exactly got said in that ask? And did it prove Nick's fears, or start something much worse? That moment is where the story changes, and it's where we're heading next. But what happened in that private talk would take this story to a place nobody could return from. And once those words got said, there was no fixing what came after. What would you do if the people who raised you looked at you and made clear your spot in their lives was done? Because Nick says that's what happened next, not in court, not in writing, but in a talk so quiet, so closed, that nobody else heard it. And that's what makes it scary. This wasn't yelling. It wasn't mess. It was final. Nick says the asking didn't go like people think askings go. No shouting, no doors slamming, no big walk out. Just words picked, careful, controlled, calm, the kind that don't hit hard but sink slow and hurt everything. Nick says he waited for the good moment. He didn't want others watching. He didn't want drama. He wanted clear. Because if the will really changed, if his name really got taken out, he needed to hear why. He says the talk started calm, almost nice, like everyone knew how it would end. Nick says he asked straight, not about money, not about amounts, but about what it meant. Why? Why now? Why without him? Why cut him out totally? And this is where Nick's side gets scary. He says the answer wasn't defending. It wasn't feeling bad. It was far away. Nick says he got told clear or hinted that the choice was made, that it was better like this, that things were different now. Think about those words. Better different. No, sorry, no comfort. Just, it's how it is. Nick says that was when he knew the will wasn't a mistake. It wasn't mixed up. It wasn't something talk could fix. It was on purpose. Purpose changes how hurt feels because hurt by accident stings. Hurt on purpose changes you. Nick says he asked more. Asked if this meant he wasn't trusted anymore. Not wanted. Not part of the future they planned. And he says the answers didn't come in words. They came in quiet. And quiet is louder than saying no. Quiet proves what nobody wants to say. Nick says that quiet told him all. That the family he thought he fit in had moved on without him. That being close wasn't real closeness. It was just useful. That his loyalty wasn't valued. It was expected and could be dropped. And once that hits home, something big changes. Because families don't just give love, they give rules. Rules about holding back. Rules about forgiving. Rules about waiting. Nick says that talk broke those rules because once you're not family, why follow famil? Ways? Now here's where it gets tricky. Because prosecutors later said this wasn't one talk, that stress built for years, that Nick's story downplays old fights. But Nick says no. He says fights happened, but nothing big enough for cutting out. And that matters because if it was slow, then the will was just one more thing. But if it was sudden, then it was a mind shock. Nick says it was sudden. He says he left that talk feeling empty, not mad, not ready to hurt, empty, like something key got taken out. And empty is risky, because when you're empty, you stop worrying about what happens next. Nothing to keep safe. Nick says he went back to the guest house and sat by himself, going over the talk again, going over old times, going over his whole life in that family. And every memory started looking different. Every holiday felt like a trade. Every smile felt like it depended on something. He says he couldn't sleep. Not because he was planning, but because who he was fell apart. He wasn't the loyal son anymore. He wasn't the one who stayed. He wasn't even in the future. So, who was he? That's the question, Nick says, kept him up. And when who you are falls apart, people don't think straight. They do things for meaning. They want control. Now, stop and think something hard. Have you seen someone fall apart? Not from one thing, but because one thing proved their worst fear? That's what Nick says this was. Proof. The will wasn't the betrayal. The talk was because the will took him out on paper. The talk took him out in feelings. Feeling taken out is harder to live with. Nick says he felt like a visitor on the property now, not a son, a problem. And here's where time gets tight, because after that talk, not much time was left. The days mixed together. He says talks got colder, shorter. Just business, no warmth, no fix try, no mend, which made him think the choice was final. And when choices feel final, feeling hopeless comes in. Nick says he started feeling stuck. If he stayed, he was unseen. If he left, he'd prove their story that he didn't fit. Either way, he lost. And losing changes how you act. Losing makes time feel short. Suddenly, everything feels can't fix. Nick says he started thinking black and white, all or nothing. Belong or gone, here or disappear. And that kind of thinking is warning, because once your mind splits the world extreme, details go away, caring shrinks, holding back weakens. Nick says he wasn't thinking hurt. He was thinking fair, recognize, see me, but fair through hurt gets twisted. What feels right to one can look like ruin to another. Now, let's face the not matching straight. If Nick felt so cut out, why not leave? Why not go? Nick says leaving would mean agreeing with their view. Agreeing he was throwaway, and he couldn't. So he stayed there, feelings falling apart. And that pull between staying and not wanted made a bad pressure, because every minute there reminded him what he lost. The house meant left out. The land meant family, future. Everything around became sign of reject. Nick says he started feeling like he was ghost in his own life. And when someone feels like a ghost, they stop acting normal. They stop thinking future. They stop thinking results. They live just in now pain. Now, here's something people miss. Nick wasn't reacting just to the will. He was reacting to what the will meant. That he got judged, checked, and not good enough. That kind of judge doesn't just hurt pride. It hurts who you are. And hurt who you are is wild. Nick says the talk took the last fake hope. That things could fix. That someone would say, "This isn't right, no one did." Which left him alone with his thoughts. And thoughts get hard fast when no one questions them. Nick says he started believing the family saw him as a problem. That taking him from the will was first step. That getting him off property next. Whether true or not, almost doesn't matter, because once someone thinks they're getting pushed out, they act like it. Nick says that thought took over, and then things sped up because the feeling break from that talk didn't go away. It got worse, and it set up the moment everyone wants to know. The moment pain turned to doing. The moment what hold back was left broke. But before that, there's one more thing to get. Because Nick says there was something said or not said in that talk that stuck with him more than anything. Something that made him see no way back. And that seeing pushed him to a choice he says he never thought he'd make. What was that last seeing? And how did it turn hopeless into can't undo? Because what came after that talk wasn't right away. It was coming. And once the line got crossed, no going back. But what next would take this from family fight to sad end? What happens when hopeless stops feeling and starts choice? Because Nick says that's the change nobody saw. Not his parents, not his sisters, not anyone outside. It didn't look big, it didn't look risky. It looked quiet. And quiet choices are hardest to stop. Nick says, the days after that talk didn't feel real. Time got flat. Morning same as night. Sleep same as awake. Everything mixed into one long, hard knowing. He wasn't wanted. And that knowing didn't yell. It whispered. It whispered while he walked the property. While he passed windows he didn't feel welcome in. While he heard steps that reminded him where he didn't fit. This wasn't mad. This was giving up. And giving up is way more risky. Nick says he started going over the talk over and over. Not just words said, but not said. No one asked how he felt. No one asked what he needed. No one asked if he was okay. That quiet became its own answer. Blame doesn't need proof to grow, neither does anger. Nick says he started believing something scary, that being there was now a risk, that he wasn't just not wanted, he was in the way. And when someone thinks they're a problem to fix, their mind changes. They stop thinking fix together. They start thinking end. Nick says he didn't hate his parents then. He felt erased. And erased does something special to mind. It makes you want to be seen anyway. Now ask honest. If you thought your whole life got quietly made wrong, if you thought the people who made you didn't see you anymore, how far would you go to get meaning back? Nick says that question stuck with him, not on purpose, deep down, like a beat he couldn't stop. He says he started feeling unseen. And unseen people don't feel tied to same rules as seen ones because rules come from belonging. Once belonging gone, rules feel choice. Nick says he didn't plan. No list, no time, no practice. What there was, he says, was coming. A feel that something already chosen by them, and he was just answering. That way matters, because when people think they're answering not starting, they feel less responsible. Nick says he told himself this wasn't punish. It was fix, bring back, even. Those words, risky. They make bad look like right. Nick says he believed the family story got unfair, that the will proved unfair, and unfair in his hurt mind needed answer. Now, here's the hardest part. Nick says he felt calm, not scared, not wild. Calm. And calm in this is often wrong seen. People think breaks are loud, but sometimes worst acts come after feeling fall. Not in it. When storm done, when nothing to lose. Nick says he walked the property one last time with new eyes. Not as son, not as guest, but as someone already out of future. Every tree meant something. Every building, like memory he wasn't in. And memories remind lasting. What goes on without you? Nick says that lasting felt hard because if everything made to last, and he not in it, then what he become? Short, throwaway. Now, let's hit something important. Nick wasn't alone. He wasn't cut from world. So, why no one see? Why no one he? LP? Nick says, because nothing looked bad. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't threatening. He wasn't wild. He was doing normal. And normal people don't set off warnings, especially if they've been normal for years. That's fake steady. It hides break. Nick says he kept everything in because saying pain would mean showing weak. And weak, he thought, already judged bad, so he quiet. And quiet let thoughts get strong. Now, here's where time important again because while Nick says inside falling apart, outside house went normal. Meals, plans, daily stuff. Normal feels weird when you're breaking. It makes clash, and clash makes feeling stronger. Nick says every normal talk felt fake, as if everyone acting nothing changed when everything did. And that acting felt mean, because saying pain would mean saying blame. And Nick says no one did, which made him think the will and talk were just start. That family moved on without him. Nick says he started thinking ends, not futures, ends, how things stop, how stories end. And that's when thinking risky. Because focus on ends, you stop guarding tomorrow. Nick says that day it happened. No big choice moment. No quick break. No inside yell. Just quiet agree that what next couldn't undo. Agree is missed warning. People think danger loud, but sometimes looks decided. Nick says he felt decided. Decided nothing he do fix place. Decided nothing say change. Decided family story written without him. And when people feel out of story, they sometimes force rewrite. Nick says he believed already in after, that worst done. The will, erase, brush off, everything after, felt result, not choice. Now stop, because this where many ask, why not go? Why not choose live? Nick says, live didn't feel live. It felt give up. And give up to him felt worse than lose. Because give up mean agree people most important judged him not worth future. And future important. Tease. To him more than easy, more than safe, more than hold back. Nick says he wanted seen, not sorry, not money in. Counted. And that want got heavier every hour until can't hold. Now, here's hard truth. Hopeless doesn't say hi. It talks you into. It says feeling right, reaction fair, answer deserved. Nick says thoughts got small, pointed. He stopped other ways because other ways need hope. And he says hope gone, which takes to moment everyone talks. But few get the night, the do, the no back. But before there, get this. Nick doesn't call that night mess. He calls coming. And coming strong story, because if coming, responsible less. That's how people live with own acts, think no choice. Nick says by night come, choice already feeling made. Body just did. But what exactly those last hours? What Nick think as time close? And what from night not match what people think? Because real what happened, more twist and more scary than news say. And once in that night, no out. But before, one last question, think. Was this really from one betrayal or break of week, who I am cracking years? Because answer changes all. And what next makes sure no future to talk? Was night start? Or just last part of something already done? Because Nick says by dark over property, nothing feels sudden. It felt planned, not by time, by coming, and coming bad place for mind. Nick says hours before night not feel big. No build music, no inside voice say stop, just normal. And normal over hopeless makes fake normal. He says he went through evening auto, eat, walk, wait for what? That's part Nick hard say. Not fight, not sorry, for prove what he think about place true or not. Either, he says, give clear, but clear not come. Instead, distance in same place. Doors closed, lights on in rooms he not feel asked to, and that's separate important because separate turns thoughts in. Nick says house not feel home. It felt line, and lines make stress, especially live on edge one. Now, ask, you ever been place no? Tus, sure welcome, but no one say leave? That unclear hard, it traps. Nick says he felt trapped. Trapped stay or disappear, and trapped people look exits, even if exit breaks all. Nick says he not hate that night, that surprise people. He describe colder, far, like watch self far, like body move mind still. That far, often wrong seen. People think no feeling, no, means feeling too much to hold awake. So mind, step away. Nick says sounds soft, colors dull, time slow, moments long weird. That's not plan, that's fall. And fall not look like movies. It look quiet. It look point. It look scary, calm. Nick says he walked to main house with not real feel, not hurry, final, like walk to talk already set. And here's people expect mad. But Nick says none. No yell, no burst, just quiet and close. And that quiet important Because quiet what this story. The will quiet. The choice quiet. The erase quiet. So end, he says. Quiet too. Now, stop, because important, say clear. Nick's side of night, his side. Prosecutors later see same night different. Where Nick say coming, they say plan. Where Nick say far, they say think. And that difference, all because truth, what happened, not just acts. It's see. Nick says moment, not feel choice. It felt finish, as if something start, days before just end. That believe, true or not, key how he explains self. Because people live with bad choices. Hard live with think became someone never was. Nick says night not make new, it show broken. And broken not always break loud, sometimes give quiet. Now, talk time again because times matter. Official later say date, way, type. But Nick says feeling time start way before night. That night just when all meet. The will, the talk, the quiet, all squeeze one spot. And when pressure too much, something break. Nick says he not think results, not jail, not news, not after. That no future think tell because when people stop see, results often stop see self-future at all. Nick says he couldn't see life after night. Not one belong, not one matter. And that's scary mind place, because future gone, now here's not match make, case, hard get. Nick not stranger to parents, not unknown, not far, which means this not random between far people. It close, and close makes hurt worse, because hurt from inside feels personal. Nick says that close made all heavier, harder, more final. And yet he says no fun, no let go, no happy, just empty. And empty, not happy. It eats. Nick says after moment gone, no easy, just shock. Not at what, but at forever. Because forever, what he feared all. Forever erase, forever out, forever quiet. And now forever, there, no undo. That's mean twist, this story. Nick says he did because felt erased, but result erased all, including any him could understand outside night. Now, clear. None this take blame away, but explain other. How person talk self-line crossed before cross it. Nick says, by time reel back, too late, change. Too late, choose different. Story now set. A sister. Someone walk to scene, break her family. Understand forever. And when she talk police, she not just say what see, she frame what fear. Because moments like people not talk reason, they talk gut. Romy's words later some one scary line. A dangerous family person, someone should suspect. Those words matter because not after check. They before one. And once said, case turn hard. Now, stop. Picture Romy spot. You walk parents home. You see something no one should. Your mind looks meaning. Shock not ask facts. It looks reasons. And mind under big stress grabs closest old stress. That not mean Romy lie, means she human. And humans fill quiet with stories, especially fear. So talk fear, because fear speeds doubt. Romy, like all, knew family stress. She knew Nick live property. She knew recent changes, the will, the stress, the close. So, when face can't think, her mind not start blank. It start context. And context can hurt because once person fits story, Everything, prove it. Nick close, knee, keek, fight. Nick reason. That's how doubts start. Not proof, but pattern under stress. Romy's words not prove Nick guilty, but they place him. And a place matters because police not come blank. They come story-moving, story-shaped, feeling, fear, hurry. Now, here's not match-make moment strong. Romy not blame. She warn. Difference. Blame say I know. Warn say I scared. But fear and know sound same in notes, especially short, especially through steps. Romy's fear part official story. And once that, Nick spot change fast from son to doubt, from family to risk, from there to threat. And that change before Nick speak word. Now think what that mean mind. Nick already feel erased, sudden super seen, but not good way. Not seen person, seen problem, thing, danger. That's mean twist moment. He go unseen to blamed fast. And once that, room for details gone. Because police not can wait first hours. They secure, hold risk, keep safe, and when someone marked may be dangerous. All act re-seen. Quiet, suspicious. Shock far. Mix up, avoid. Nick inside, break not seen them. All they see man property, blood tie, fear point. Now, talk time, because time all here. Bodies found, police called, and in first window, before full check, before timelines, before rebuild. Nick already main. That not mean police skip other, but mean Nick first. And first shape ask. It shape tone. It shape think. Nick says when police come, he feel change right away. Not hate. Focus. Eyes on him longer others. Ask different. Not what happened, but where you? That's small, but huge. Because once ask point, story small. Nick says he feel like end already set. That story decided and all after fit facts in. True or not, it matter because see, shape answer. Nick not feel sad son. He feel doubt under watch. And here's more tricky. Nick feeling state already weak, far, broke, and that make him look wrong, not cry enough, not feel enough, not sad way expect, but sad not follow plan. Some break loud, others quiet, and quiet often wrong seen. Nick says he shocked, but shock not look good record, not look good notes, not look good when fear point finger. So when Romy words in record, they anchor. Something police can't skip, and that anchor pull check to Nick from start. Now stop again, because this where many decide. They hear Romy warn police. They hear Nick live property. They hear will and all fit nice. Too nice, because real life, not clean. Real life mess. Hurt mess. Families mess and first stories often change later. Once feeling give to proof, but first strong and stay. Nick says that moment he know Romy name him, feel betrayal on betrayal, not because she wrong, but because she scared, and fear turn him something he not know. Threat, doubt, careful, and that prove all he feel. That he not family more. He outsider, even in sad, especially sad. Now, think how that feel. Parents gone, family broke, and instead sad, meet doubt. Instead comfort, ask. Instead hold, watch. Nick says that moment makes something clear inside. That what story he tell loyalty. What explain pain, none matter now. Because story past him, no more why. It what and what always easy than why. Because what prove, why need, care. Now, talk police real. Police train check risk quick. They have to. When family name another dangerous, not skip. Act on, which mean hold, watch, control. And that's what happened. Nick says he separate, watch, ask, and every answer feel measured against think he did. Because how explain inside break to people look outside proof? How explain erase to people count times? Nick says he couldn't. Not then, maybe never. And so gap grow between what he feel and what record, between inside real and official events. And that gap where cases turn fight, because once someone feel not get, they pull back. They say less. They keep safe. And that keep often look guilty. Nick says he see quick quiet, bad scene, but explain too, because explain sound. To excuse, and excuse sound lie. So, what do? Nick says he close feeling, words, because anything say use, prove story he not make. And meantime, story strong, news start. Words hard, charges near, and family sad turn crime frame. 2 counts, 1 doubt, clear tags. Now, here's most scary part. Romy words not mean bad. They gut. But gut, once record, become proof like. It change way. And way change end. That's wait, first see. They not have true to strong. Nick says he not blame Romy, but he says feel left by her words. Because in his mind, she not just point him. She close door, understand. And once door close, all after feel machine, no feel. Coming. And that coming, same one Nick feel before night. Back. But now, not just feeling. It steps. Because once police move, not stop check feelings. It follow way. And way, not care, erase. It care cause. How, chance. Which take to next turn. Because after Romy words, check speed fast. Proof gather. Doctor finds start in. Words hard. Types made. And once words kill and sharp hurt in record. Case stop, maybe. It official. Final. And with that type, Nick path small more. Because now, story not just doubt. It charge. But how police go doubt to sure quick? What proof close change? And how doctor words? Cold, no feel, far. Change feeling story to law one. Because once check doctor talk, all change. When science talk, feeling quiet. Because once doctor in story, sad stop personal become steps. Cold, no feel. Hard. And those words in notes read in court, echo in news. Lock case shape hard undo. Kill, sharp hurt, weigh death. Those phrases not describe people. They describe end. And once end set, story small fast. Nick says this, where all real slip away. Not night, not arrest. But moment words replace human. Because doctor words not ask why. Only how. And how easy charge than why. Check results not come big. They come sure. No maybe, no guess. Many sharp hurt kill, weigh death. Sure date, Sunday final. That it. Once those in record, case cross hidden line. Before sad, after crime, and crime need bad guy. Now ask. When police get sure death on purpose, where look first? They look reason. They look close. They look access. Nick fit all. He live property. He recent fight. He feeling reason. Check not blame him, but prove doubt. And prove strong, because once doubt feel right, question gone. Nick says that's when tone change all. No more open ask, no more wonder, just small, pin times, no other. He says, police not mean, they point and point at you feel hard because all say filter one think you did. Nick says he see something scary then. Story no need him more. It have all parts. Reason means chance. That three deadly. Once form break hard. Now talk doctor sure. Because people think check explain all. No, they explain hurt. They explain time. They explain how. But no, explain mind. No, explain feeling. No, explain break. And yet, people think doctor finds final. They feel truth big. Nick says, hear those terms for parents feel not real. As if they turn show. As if love history strip and replace measure. Hurt, cause, no names, no memories, just facts. And facts not care, feelings. Which why once doctor talk, story hard. News follow words exact. Many sharp, hurt, kill, doubt arrest. And when people hear that, stop ask because sure comfort. It make mess simple. Now, here's where not match deep. Nick says he not fight finds. He not deny what he fight meaning put. Because his side, check not explain cause. It explain end. But end not alone. They end chain. And Nick says chain start way before any body act. But once check frame death's kill, chain not matter. Only end matter. That's how crime stories work. They squeeze, they cut. They take context. Nick says that cut feel second erase. First, erase from will. Now his feeling real erase from story. He not seen person break. He seen doer. And doers no details. They get charges. Ow. Think how quick this. Days, not months, not years. In days, story set. Parents dead. Son arrest. Reason hint. No stop. No time think. No room others see. Because once kill said, system move, and systems not slow sad. Nick says he feel pull by speed, talk, papers, steps, all around him. Nothing for him. And more he back. Worse look, because quiet, in law suspicious, but talk risky. Every word twist. Every explain, frame excuse. So Nick do what many do, trap quiet, and blame self. He close which only prove think. Now let's talk date, because even that part story, Sunday specific day, lock that matter, because fixed date, fixed time, and fixed times, limit maybe. Nick says time feel hard, because not count feeling build, not count mind break, not count days before only moment, and when moment all, context, die. Nick says he watch parents' lives some short, and his life some charges. 2 counts, first degree, words heavy, words forever, words not care details. Now, here's something people not think. When kill said police stop ask if happen. They start ask how prove. That change small but key because prove need story. Clean line. Start middle end. Nick says that story not include feeling state. It include acts. And acts no context look bad. Especially victim's parents. Especially doubt son. That type strong. It carry own think, own scary. People not want think parents hurt kids. Want think kids hurt parents even less. So when happen, people want reason. And when reason hard, they simple. Greed, mad, want. Nick says those tags start right. Even he say money not point. But tries say that to people red wills. Money easy bad guy. It fit. It explain. It good. But Nick says miss truth. Because if money goal, he says, nothing happen makes sense. What makes sense, he say, break, who lose, erase. But break not showy. It not fit neat charges. So ignore. Now, back check moment, because those fines not just change check, they change see. Phrase sharp force injuries sound mean. It sound on purpose. It sound hurt. And hurt people think must from hate. But Nick says hate not there. He says empty was, and empty not good in news. Now ask, can someone do hurt act no hate? That question hard people. Because if yes, then hurt not always mad. Sometimes hopeless. And hopeless, harder, blame clean. Nick says doctor words erase that line. It cut all to force injury, which make inside not matter. Now, here's where case real hard. Once doctor report done, charges quick. 1st-degree murder, 2 counts, no wait, no less. That choice send message. This not quick, this not accident. This plan, think, on purpose. Nick says, hear those words feel not real because they describe someone he not know, someone count, someone cold, someone he say he not. But once tags stick, they not go, especially law ones. Because law tags carry results, life change. Nick says that's when fear break numb, not fear punish. Fear forever, not get. Fear whole life now through one night. That all before, every give, every loyal act, every care moment erase again. Now here's last not match this part. Doctor bring clear, but clear not bring get. It bring close system, not people. And once system close, it stop listen. Nick says he see, then story not his tell more. It belong notes, filings, courts. And him in those papers not human. It useful. It cut acts. And that cut feel final betrayal because all he want, he says, seen. And now only measured. But this not end change because once charges file, case new part. One where truth become plan. Where stories build on purpose. Where everything weapon. Where even family become watch or against. And next part, where that change clear. Because once case court, all change again. New spots, new loyal, new quiet. And people Nick think, oh, peak, for him not. But what next redefine family one last time, and it decide if Nick's story ever heard or buried full. What happens when family stop? Family start, plan. Because moment charges file, feeling center story gone in place.